right, so this is a story about how you should be really careful about the kinds of people that you surround yourself with. I used to have a friend, and this friend, I don't know how, but they always made friends with like the weirdest, most awful people they could find. I guess they were just like so desperate for attention that they really didn't care where it came from as long as they got attention. They were constantly in relationships with terrible boyfriends, and it got to a point where I just got sick and tired of telling them to leave their boyfriend, and they would just never listen. It was so frustrating being their friend. But so they knew this one guy, and I met him, and I was like instantly attracted to him. So I was like, yeah, I want to be his friend. So we start hanging out, and we're like friends for like a year. And meanwhile, this guy, he has a girlfriend, so I don't do anything. Like, I have this crush on him, but I just, kind of keep it to myself. Like, I'm fine with just being friends with someone. I was always like impressed with him. He owned his own house. He would constantly like change our oil for us, and I was like, I'll pay you for it. And he would say, oh no, I just want to be like this manly guy kind of thing. He had a very can-do attitude, and I was attracted to that. But there was a lot of red flags I was ignoring. I was in my cool girl era, when you grow up like religious, you grow up like worshiping men and stuff. You tend to let things slide because you're kind of like groomed into it. So I was not on my decenter men era at that time. And I noticed that his circle of friends was questionable. And because he owned the house in the friend group, he would let the other friends there stay, pay rent kind of thing. Let's see, how old was I? Maybe like 20, 21 or something. And he was like 20. And this was kind of my first experience with like toxic masculinity. And I don't mean that in the ironic sense or the feminism sense. I'm serious when I say that this group of men I should have never, ever been around. They were terrible. It was always jarring because comparing my crush to his friend group was just like, they didn't seem to mesh, but somehow they were friends. They were just not on the same level as him, so I was confused why he hung around these people. But yeah, so this was my first introduction to like toxic male groups, and like let me tell you, these guys were bizarre. They were constantly, making jokes about women, putting them down and whatnot, and in my cool girl era, I didn't know what to say to that, so I would just kind of laugh along with them. They were very sex starved. They were constantly like, oh, I need to, have sex with some girl and I don't care who it is kind of thing. And they would like dress up as women to make fun of them. And then they would like hump each other as a joke. And I would just be staring at this like so confused because like it seemed like my guy friend wasn't like that, but if he's around this like all the time, he probably just does it when I'm not there. So it was really weird. And so they would do the term now is kind of like homosocial. Like maybe they're into women, but also the things they do, it's kind of like, are you gay? And that's like fine, but it's confusing. They would tell stories about these horrible things they did to women. Like one of them, he wanted to slay as many like virgins as he can. I'm paraphrasing, not actually kill them or anything. You know what I mean? And one of them, he would go around to apartment buildings and he would ruin all of the carpets for fun. He would just like gather up all these gross materials and ruin things. So like this guy was friends with like the scum of the earth. They would take videos of small animals and like shoot them up and stuff. And like my guy friend was trying to show me these videos and I didn't know how to react. I'm like, is this what guys do? Like I had never had that much experience around men before. So I was kind of seeing like a different side of them. And they kept telling this one story where they all like wanked off together and they on like a mattress, and they went to this girl that they hated, and they like threw the mattress on her, and like it was her birthday, and they were so proud of that. I it's not like I knew all these things in the beginning. It just kind of like sprinkled here and there over the course of a year, being like somewhat friends with this guy and his group of friends. And there was stuff that bothered me, but because I was groomed to look up to men, I was groomed to see like men as my spiritual leaders. And to preface, these were all Mormon men. It was a group of all Mormon men, which I was supposed to date. Like, that's what my religion taught me to do. So I was taught that this was a safe environment, but it clearly wasn't. So I was always kind of uncomfortable, and I kept my distance from his male friends. Because my main girlfriend, she was the one that brought me into this. So whenever she would drive me to this guy's house, it's not like I had any, like, escape. I guess I could have like called an Uber or something, but yeah, nowadays I probably would, but like I said, I was in my cool girl era, and I didn't know I had to handle what was going on. I always found it very strange that they wanted women so bad, but they also hated women so bad. So I guess certain straight men hate women, or maybe they're just on the down low, but I had zero experience with that. I was, like I said, Mormon men. I was taught, you worship the prophet, you worship God, Jesus, whatever. They're all men. There's no female gods. So you're kind of groomed into it. So this one day, this guy, this male friend I had, he had a whole circle of male friends, and I didn't know half of them. So this one day, this guy comes in. I don't know him. I'm just chilling on the couch, and this was the time where I had plantar fasciitis, and if just to speed through that, like, my feet just really hurt, and I couldn't really walk for like 5 minutes. It was just really painful. And when you're dealing with something like that, like, your feet are like super sensitive, they're just super in pain. So this guy walks in. I don't know him. I'm just laying on the couch, my legs are up, I'm just chilling there, relaxing. He grabs my phone and he takes a picture of himself. No hi, no hello, no nice to meet ya. He grabs my phone, he takes a picture of himself, he hands it back to me, and he says, "Oh, you can use that if any guy comes up to you and says, like, do you have a boyfriend? You can say it's me." And I'm just sitting there like, what? Like, ew. But, I be polite because, dealing with men can be a little tricky. So I'm like, haha, funny. I'm just feeling awkward at this point. I wasn't really good at meeting new people back then. But we start kind of talking. I'm like, hey, give me my phone back. I don't know if that counts as talking. And more people come in. I don't know if they were having like a friend meetup or something, but there ended up being like 10, 15 people in there, and most of them I did not know. And then this guy, I don't know, he just stole my phone, took a photo of himself. He grabs my feet, and I'm like, hey, don't touch my feet, please. And he's like, oh, why? Like, be cool. Like, why can't I do that? And I'm like, well, because I have this, like, condition, and they really hurt, and they're injured, so please don't touch me. I'm like, did I need to say all that? No. And honestly, it's almost better to not say stuff like that, because it was like a signal went off in his brain, because he's like, oh, they hurt so bad, huh? And I'm like, yes. So this man, he clamps his hand down on my feet, and I start bawling. I had to stop recording for a second. I started tearing up. I didn't expect that. So he clamps down on my foot. I start crying, and his face, he's just staring at me like with these creepy dark eyes, and he's like grinning at me while I'm crying, and everyone in the room like goes silent. Now, once again, I was in my cool girl era. I'm thinking to myself, like, am I just overreacting? Like, this guy is like touching me and I told him not to, and this really hurts, like, but everyone's quiet. Am I being too much? So then he stops clamping on my foot, and I just kind of quietly sobbed to myself because I don't want to make anyone uncomfortable, Poor little sugar. Poor little sugar. And like I said, the room is just quiet. They're all just kind of staring. And I think it's over, but it's not because he goes back and he clamps on my foot again, harder this time. And so I'm like wailing and screaming, and like tears are running down my face. Everyone is just still, just watching me. Like there's something wrong with me, and whatever he's doing is like fine. And I'm just overreacting. And so this goes on for a while. I'm just like sobbing, and he's staring at me with a big old grin on his face. And eventually he lets go. And it was at that point where my male friend, he ran and, grabbed like an ice pack or something for me. And I was I was baffled. I didn't know why. So after that, his wife comes in. Brother has a wife? Why is he touching other women? His wife comes in. Everyone acts like nothing just happened. Like, and even my girlfriend at the time, she didn't do jack or anything. She didn't say, hey, we should probably go. Nowadays, if something like that happened to me, I would leave immediately. I was relying on her giving me a ride. So that's why I was like, I don't know where to go. I feel trapped here. This guy's house was like a 40-minute drive too, so it wasn't like just down the block. But I kind of lost faith in groups, like these whole friend group things, especially groups of men. I kind of get the ick when I see packs of men. And I would say for a long time, my view on men really soured, and I just stopped dating and everything. It's like weird seeing men so desperate for female validation, female attention, but then also they're dressing up like them and they're humping each other and they're making jokes about grape and stuff. But yeah, the friendship with this male friend I had who was in charge of that group, like it didn't last for different reasons. He couldn't apologize for certain things, but I make this video to say, like, be careful who you surround yourself with. If you're getting anxious around people, which I was, but I was ignoring because I'm like, I need a friend group, right? No, sometimes having one friend is plenty, let me tell you. And I'm really careful about the kinds of men that are around me. I don't typically like to have male friends, and especially not a pack of males, because I just feel like that's trouble. I don't know. But yeah, if you're a girl, like, don't just trust anyone, especially your girlfriends that lead you into places like this. And, just stay safe. The bystander effect is real. I'm not that type of person. Like, if I see someone that needs help, I jump in. But a lot of people, they just stand there, and it's frustrating. So, yeah, stay safe.